Do you ever feel overwhelmed by the ever-changing world of technology? Tech It Out can help make some sense of it all. Breaking down geek speak into street speak, technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman covers consumer technology each week for every listener. Mark tackles the latest news, reviews, and how-tos to help you understand what's hot, what's not, and why.
Hey everyone, welcome to Tech It Out. This is episode 268. I'm your very congested host, Mark Saltzman. I don't have a cold, I don't have COVID. It's just chronic sinus issues that I'm ironing out with a new ENT that I just saw, so apologies. Hope you're having a spooktacular end of October. If you are going trick-or-treating with the kids on Monday night, be careful. Those distracted drivers are out there, may not be paying attention as you cross the road. But hey, have fun. And if you are going to any costume parties, as my wife Kelly and I are, we were also at a masquerade ball at a castle on Thursday night. Be sure to share those pics on social media. I love seeing clever costumes. I'll spell my name in a moment, but I'm on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, and LinkedIn. It's Mark Saltzman, but it's Mark with a C, Saltzman. So it's M-A-R-C, Saltzman. Let me know what you think of Tech It Out. Share your best Halloween picks, or if you have tech questions, you can hit me up. And speaking of Halloween, we're going to chat with Nextdoor in a few minutes. That's the popular platform for neighborhoods. We're going to learn about their new treat map this year for Halloween. But first, we're going to kick things off with Bitmoji, celebrating their 15th anniversary. They're now owned by Snap, the folks behind Snapchat. Bitmojis let you create your own custom emojis, of course. We're also going to learn this hour about a huge new gaming monitor from LG. It's 48 inches, and it's an OLED screen, so gorgeous. And we'll end things off with Linksys to get tips on how to improve the Wi-Fi in your home if you've got dead zones where you're not getting good reception or reliable wireless internet. So we're going to get solutions to that. All of this and more on an all-new Tech It Out, powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. I'll tell you more about ASUS shortly, but let's officially kick off this week's show with our first interview. Long before the metaverse and avatars, and even before memojis and animojis on your smartphone, there were Bitmojis, an offshoot of Bitstrips from a Toronto-based company that became massive over the years. To talk with us about its 15th anniversary and more, we're joined by David Kennedy, VP and co-founder of Bitmoji, now part of Snap. Hi, David. Thanks for your time today.
Hi, Mark. Thanks for having me.
Hey, why don't we start at a high level? For those who don't know what Bitmoji is all about, please fill us in.
Yeah, Bitmoji is your own personal emoji. It's an avatar that you make that lets you put yourself into the messages that you send to your friends. And if you use Snapchat, it's how you see yourself and your friends inside the app.
And if you're not tech savvy, is it hard to create an emoji version of yourself?
No. So there's two ways you can do it. If you download the Bitmoji app or if you use Snapchat, we make it really easy. You can take a picture that helps you get started, and then you get to pick your hair, nose, glasses, all of the things that make you you, and turn yourself into a Bitmoji avatar.
So you take a picture of yourself and then the AI kind of does the rest. It makes like a kind of like a cartoony version of you?
Yeah, a cartoony version of you. And we really see that as kind of, it gets you started, because I think you know you better than a computer knows you.
And then you could tweak it from there, as you said.
Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. So as I mentioned in my introduction, David, you were acquired by Snap, which is super cool. How long ago was that? And how is Snap integrating Bitmoji? You did say that is how you are represented within that platform, but was that sort of their MO? That's why they wanted to acquire you?
Yeah. So we joined Snap 6 years ago. And at the time, Snap was growing, was still unknown. And it was something that I've really enjoyed kind of learning more about Snap and Snapchat over the years. Our first integration was inside Snapchat Chat. So the Bitmoji stickers, you would be able to send them to your friends inside Snapchat Chat. And then over the next 6 years, we've integrated into almost every feature inside Snap. So when we became your profile picture inside Snapchat, when you see your friends in the chat feed, you see their Bitmojis. When you go to the maps, it's you and your friend's Bitmoji on the map. And really, if you're using Snapchat, you see your friend's Bitmoji as your friends.
Got it. And congrats on your 15th anniversary, which is very exciting, of course. So you were a co-founder of Bitstrips.
Yeah. So we launched Bitstrips 15 years is a long time. 15 years ago, it was a website where you could make and share comic strips, which was a lot of fun. And part of the idea was comics are just a medium that everybody loves to read and enjoy, but it was really hard to make comic strips unless you were an artist. So we wanted to make tools that let you create comic strips. And part of creating a comic strip is creating characters that you put into those comics. And of course, you could create a character for yourself, an avatar. And that's what really got the ball rolling.
Yeah.
And after Bitstrips, we launched Bitstrips for Schools, which some of your listeners might remember using in grade school or high school, or if they were a teacher, remember using it in their class. And then from Bitstrips for Schools, everything kind of evolved into Bitmoji.
You must have a pretty big team.
Yeah. So I think when we joined Snap, we were pretty small, and we're over 100 people now, which again, 15 years and 100 people, it's been a really fun journey. And I can't believe it sometimes.
Yeah. Congrats again. How many people use their Bitmoji based avatar? And I think you also have some other really neat stats on the adoption of Bitmoji overall.
Yeah. So over 1 billion Bitmojis have been made.
Wow.
With more being made every day. And every day, 250 million people use their Bitmoji.
Every day.
Every single day, 250 million people. And something that I still can't really believe.
And I heard that in Canada, more than 75% of millennials have a Bitmoji character. And in the United States, it's over 85%. How does that feel to know that you created something that's very much part of the sort of cultural zeitgeist?
It's funny when I see my daughter using Snapchat with her friends and I see all of their Bitmojis. She's actually said to me, "Dad, I can't tell my friends what you do. It's too cool." So I don't tell them what your job is.
That's great. No, but really, again, what a huge accomplishment that so many dream of, but very few attain. We are chatting with David Kennedy. He is VP and co-founder of Bitmoji, part of the Snap family for the past 6 years. So if you use Snapchat, no doubt you use and have seen Bitmojis in various aspects of the platform. What is the most popular Bitmoji sticker used this year?
Yeah, so it's the Tears of Joy Bitmoji. It's kind of modeled off of the Tears of Joy emoji. So it's the one where the emoji is kind of smiling, tears are coming out of your face.
Yeah, you're laughing so hard that you're crying.
Yeah, and it's a great example of, I think, why Bitmoji is so powerful. So we all have the experience of sending generic emojis to try to add something to the messages that we're sending to our friends. But when you send a Bitmoji, it's actually you in the message. And so if I send a Tears of Joy emoji, your brain has to do a little bit of work to put me into the emoji that just got sent. When you send a Bitmoji and you see your friend crying because they're having so much fun and they're laughing, it just makes you feel closer to the people that you're chatting with.
I'm glad you explained that because, again, this is radio or podcast, depending on how our listeners are tuning in. But either way, it's an audio-based medium. So thank you for illustrating verbally what people see. So instead of that typical emoji of like a sort of sideways face, laughing, crying, this is the person you are interacting with in cartoon form, down to maybe their hairstyle and their glasses, or if they have like ear piercings, and it's them doing that laughing, crying, not a generic smiley face.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Okay.
And I'm in a group chat with my family where every morning we all send Bitmojis to each other when we start the day, and it's amazing because it actually feels like we're all closer to each other than we are. We all live in different cities, and it's something that just makes us feel closer. Yeah, and that's the power of Bitmoji.
It's a great way of expressing yourself, and now in a customized way. And speaking of which, talk to us about the fashion and customization options within Bitmoji, the outfits.
Yeah. So every day when you get up in the morning, you make a decision about what to wear. And the clothing you wear is a large part of your identity in the real world. And we want you to be able to express your digital identity through your Bitmoji's clothing in the same way. So it's something that we've so far, it's probably our number one request from our users, more clothing, more fashion. And we're seeing incredible engagement with it so far. So last year, we launched a Nike collection that even just in the first 2 months, people tried on more than 2 billion times. So as soon as we release new fashion, people jump on it. And it's something we're just investing really heavily in right now.
Oh, that's so cool. Could there be in the future the ability for your smartphone camera to see what you're wearing that day automatically and then adjust your Bitmoji on the fly?
Yeah, absolutely. And it's actually something that some users might have experienced right now. If you're in the US, you might have actually used SnapLens that does that today. And it's something we're continuing to invest in and we want to roll out everywhere.
Awesome. Speaking of which, and as we wrap up, I understand you're doing some really cool things with augmented reality. No surprise there with the Snap acquisition. So let's explain first what AR is and what Bitmoji is doing in this space.
Yeah. So AR stands for augmented reality. And I think when I like to explain it by comparing it to virtual reality. So VR means you're putting on a headset and you're taking yourself out of the real world and going into this virtual world. AR doesn't take you out of the real world. It enhances it. Today in Snapchat, when you use the camera, you're able to add things to the world and augment it. And that's what AR is. It's something that over 250 million people do every day inside Snapchat. And it's something that we're beginning to explore with Bitmoji. So today you're able to use your Bitmoji in AR by having it either kind of track your body. So you can go into the world and dance, and it'll be replaced with your Bitmoji. And we're also making Bitmoji available inside Lens Studio. So if anyone wants to create their own AR lens, they can download Lens Studio and create their own augmented reality experience, publish it in Snapchat, and even add their Bitmoji into it.
Super cool. And then finally, how do we get going, David? Do you recommend downloading Snapchat, or is there a website you'd recommend instead that's tied specifically to Bitmoji?
Yeah, so if anybody wants to learn more, you can search for Bitmoji and download the Bitmoji app, or download Snapchat. And part of making a Snapchat account means you'll be able to create your Bitmoji as well.
David Kennedy has been our guest, VP and co-founder of Bitmoji, part of Snap. Thank you so much, David. Congrats on your 15th anniversary. Very exciting.
Thanks, Mark.
This show is powered by ASUS for those in search of incredible. ASUS creates technology for today and tomorrow's smart life, and that includes its line of award-winning laptops. Check it out at asus.com/US/radio. That's ASUS.com. When we return on Tech It Out, we're going to chat with Nextdoor about their Halloween treat map. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want. Find the Tech It Out podcast at iTunes or wherever you get your podcasts.
Welcome back to Tech It Out. By now, you've probably heard of Nextdoor, a popular app for neighborhoods where you can get local tips, you can buy and sell items with your neighbors, and much more. Or perhaps you're already an avid user of the platform. And just in time for Halloween, Nextdoor is back with its treat map. To talk with us about it, we're joined by Christopher Doyle from Nextdoor. Welcome back to the show, Christopher. Good to chat with you.
Always good to chat, Mark.
Now, before we talk about the treat map, boy, I like the sounds of that. Tell us what Nextdoor is all about, kind of at a high level.
Yeah, absolutely. So neighbors around the world turn to Nextdoor online, so either on the app, which is quite popular, or on their desktop to do a few things. First, it's to receive trusted information that's hyper-local in their neighborhood. And then they're giving and receiving help and really getting things done through real-world connections with those nearby. And we want everyone to have a neighborhood that they can rely on.
I like that. It's for recommending local businesses, like check out this new cafe down the street, like hyper-local, like you said. Anybody know of a babysitter, or I've got 2 tickets to a concert. Does anybody want them? Anything like that. This is all tied to your neighborhood.
Yeah, that's exactly right. And we find that one of the really strong use cases for Nextdoor is asking a neighbor. So there's a high degree of trust that you have when you know that someone nearby is recommending a business, as you say, or, maybe is seeking a babysitter for their kids, or just seeking a recommendation of any kind. So we see neighbors sharing this really valuable information back and forth. And because there's such a trust there, it's a really, really valuable tool for neighbors looking for any type of information, really.
Is it by street? Like, I know you were saying neighborhoods, but like, can you could you join a different street?
Yeah, what's really interesting and sort of unique about Nextdoor is that it's all built around proximity. And so we've built maps in there that are a defined neighborhood. And so, generally it's the neighborhood is large enough so that you can get useful recommendations from around your area, but it's small enough also that it feels very local to you. But what we've seen actually, to your point, is that groups are really, really popular on Nextdoor, and people have gone even more local with their groups where, for example, in my neighborhood, we've got a group just for our specific street. So people are sort of like within their neighborhood also organizing themselves, I guess at a more granular level, like by the street level. Yeah. Or by like a specific school.
Let's now talk Halloween, one of my favorite times of the year. What does Nextdoor have in store for All Hallows Eve?
Yes. So, Halloween is one time where we do see neighbors coming together, right? And with the pandemic, there was not as much activity on the streets during Halloween, and rightfully so. People were trying to stay safe. And so we're super excited that people are going to be back in full force now, giving out treats, and kids are going to be out on the streets dressing up and doing their trick-or-treating. And so with that in mind, we've created a treat map that's an interactive basically local Halloween guide. And so it does a couple of things. It lets neighbors share that they're going to be celebrating Halloween. So that might mean, a pretty elaborate haunted house or decorated house that they have for kids to come by. Or it could just mean simply that they're also giving out treats and just letting their neighbors know that they're going to be open for business on Halloween. And so really families and kids can then plan their trick-or-treat route throughout the neighborhood, which is really cool.
I like that. What about if one house is going to go all out and decorate like crazy and they want the neighborhood to know about it and to come on by? Is there a way you could leverage Nextdoor for that?
Yeah, for sure. So it's really built for that. So for those houses that go all out, they can pin on the treat map that they're going to be decorating their house for Halloween. And then that also turns into a post in their neighborhood, and they can share photos. And, I've already seen it in my neighborhood, but there's a few houses that really go all out, and they're already wanting to let their neighbors know. They're like, hey, we're setting this up. Sometimes they'll show in progress photos of like, here's the build, here's how it's coming. Right. And they'll share, almost promoting it in the neighborhood.
Like a time-lapse video or something.
Exactly. Yeah. And there's one house in my neighborhood. It's pretty elaborate decorations. That's amazing. We always look forward to it. It's different every year. So they're already promoting it on Nextdoor and showing photos as it comes together and making sure that everyone knows that they're a destination on Halloween night. So that's the super fun thing about it, is you can actually plan your route as you're going around the neighborhood and hit those houses that are going to be going all out.
Love it. We are chatting with Christopher Doyle from Nextdoor. We're learning all about the treat map, which is back tied to Halloween. In fact, I understand this is the 10th anniversary of the treat map, Christopher, and that you've worked with Beggin to add a dog bone to the map. Talk to us about that for this year.
That's exactly right. Yeah, we're really excited about this. So it does mark the 10th anniversary of the Nextdoor treat map. And so it's only right that we celebrate this with some fun new features, right? So we have partnered with Beggin from Purina to add a new feature. So neighbors can now also indicate if they are giving out a pet-friendly treat. So this is to take care of our loyal pets, our loyal dogs in the neighborhood, and
whether they dress up or not.
That's right. Yeah. Costume optional on this one. But the insight that drove this was that more than 75% of neighbors on Nextdoor have pets. So we're really excited about this.
All right. So it's a partnership with Beggin to add a dog bone to the map for those who hand out treats for any trick-or-treating dogs, or maybe other pets, but certainly dogs. That's a great feature, and congrats on the 10th anniversary of the treat map within Nextdoor. All right. So for those listeners who do use Nextdoor, where on the platform would they see this Halloween themed content exactly?
Yeah, so it's pretty easy. When you're on the Nextdoor app in your neighborhood, you go to the bottom toolbar and there's a Discover tab or button, and you just toggle to the treat map from there, and you'll see it prominently.
Great.
And then from there, you can pin your house on the map. You can make a post. And I should say another exciting feature that I wish was around when I was a kid was neighbors can add the description of what trick-or-treaters can expect. So for example, if they're giving out full-size candy bars, and that's why when I was a kid, we always wanted to go that we're giving out the full-size candy bars. And so that's an option on the map.
Yeah, that's great.
Make it fun and interactive for kids. Yeah.
Love it. And finally, if you're not on Nextdoor yet, do you recommend the app over the website or vice versa?
We really do recommend the app. It's a great experience on your phone. You download it at the App Store or Google Play, but you can also use the desktop version.
Nextdoor.com if you want to learn more.
Exactly right. Nextdoor.com.
Yeah, thank you so much, Christopher. Great to chat with you. Happy Halloween. All the best.
Thanks, Mark.
How big is your computer monitor today? 20 inches, maybe 25? How about a 48-inch OLED gaming monitor? We'll learn about the LG UltraGear when we return.
Want to follow Mark? Google him. Mark with a C and Saltzman with a Z. Breaking down geek speak into street speak. This is Tech It Out. Tech It Out with technology columnist, author, and TV personality Mark Saltzman.
You're listening to Tech It Out. So I was at the official opening of a new LG showroom in Toronto the other day, and I couldn't take my eyes off a new 48-inch computer monitor. This is the latest, and I would say the biggest and best in the LG UltraGear family of OLED displays. Perfect for gamers. We're going to hear all about it right now with the special guest we've got on the line, Jordan Anamale. He's head of production at the Gaming Stadium, or TGS Esports. Welcome to the show, Jordan.
Mark, thank you so much for having me on. Excited to be here and excited to chat more about UltraGear and more about what LG brings to the table.
Awesome. But before we get to that, Jordan, since I've got you on the line and on the program for the first time, please tell us a bit about yourself and the Gaming Stadium.
Yeah, so you already introduced me with my title. Yeah, I am Jordan. I'm the head of production for TGS Esports and the Gaming Stadium. We are a full-service gaming marketing agency that bring tournament activations, influencer activations, and anything gaming to life, basically. So take your typical marketing agency and make it gaming.
Awesome. Love it. And speaking of which, I have to ask you, what's your favorite all-time game?
Man, I'm not gonna lie, I've been playing Rocket League for a very long time.
Yeah, it's so awesome.
I mean, soccer with rocket powered cars. What's not to love, to be honest?
And I love, as a parent of 3 kids, sorry to cut you off, Jordan, I love that it's a family-friendly game. My 3 kids are now in university, but this game has been around long enough that I was totally cool with them playing this online against others and having a blast in the process.
Yeah, I've actually run tournaments for everything from, middle and high school age all the way through professional Rocket League players. So I've seen the breadth of the community that is present in this game itself, and it's honestly one of the most attractive and fun communities to be a part of.
Yeah, for sure. And I love the idea of making money by winning tournaments by playing this game. So it's like, how cool is that? All right, so let's now pivot and discuss what makes a good gaming monitor. So I am a PC gamer more than I am a console gamer, I have to admit. And how does LG's 48-inch UltraGear 4K OLED gaming monitor meet those needs?
Well, look, there's a lot of things to consider when it comes to the gear you're using in gaming. Similar to like traditional sports, the best gear often equates to the best performance, right? And I think that is exponentially more clear in gaming when you have tech that needs to respond at the highest levels of movement, of, frame rate, and all of these sort of things. One of the most important ones is response time. And the UltraGear 4K OLED gaming monitor has a 0.1 millisecond response time. I think that alone is enough to sell me on this monitor that it is going to be a winner for anyone looking to play at the highest level.
Thank you for that. So, people ask me all the time, listeners of the show and readers of my columns, they're like, okay, I want to buy a gaming monitor. So 4K, check. That refers to resolution, the number of dots that makes up the image. OLED, check. That means better contrast, so deeper blacks and whiter whites and often better color because it just makes everything pop, look more vivid, better brightness. They're super thin, they're energy efficient, check. But you hit the nail on the head. It's got to keep up with those fast-paced games. So the refresh rate is incredibly important because otherwise, what happens?
Otherwise, you're skipping frames and you're missing moments, and you're not able to react as quickly enough as as your body can. If your equipment can't keep up with it, then you might miss the goal in Rocket League that you're trying to score.
Every millisecond counts. Yeah, so it gets choppy, or it can't keep up with these games if you've got a slower monitor. So this is critical to consider the frame rate measured in milliseconds or in response times. We also see panels and on TVs as well, Jordan, where it says like 120 hertz, 240 hertz. That refers to how many frames per second it's rendering that image.
Yeah, correct. In your typical monitor that you'd see kind of every day in life, that most of those operate at what people know as 60 hertz. And for the average human, that's more than enough. That's what you need.
60 frames per second. Yeah.
60 frames per second. That's great. However, when you are playing these games and playing at the highest level, you need to be operating at double, if not more than that speed. The UltraGear 4K OLED is operating at 120 hertz native and can be overclocked, meaning it can go above that to up to 138 hertz, which, to be honest, is insane for something that is in 4K.
Yeah, the gamer in me gets giddy talking these kinds of specs.
I got goosebumps as we speak, let me tell you.
We are chatting with Jordan Anamale. He's head of production at TGS Esports. You're based in beautiful Vancouver, is that right?
That is correct. Yeah. I'm actually joining you today from Richmond, just south of Vancouver, technically at our studio. But beautiful Vancouver. It's a sunny day out. We're enjoying the last little tastes of summer, so to speak.
All right. So is it fair to say then that LG really sort of had gamers in mind when designing this new UltraGear? And again, 48 inches. That's massive for a computer monitor.
I mean, let's go back to the general UltraGear line in general. This is built for gamers. It is built for the needs that they have with these high spec games, the high performance reality. But this monitor in particular is going to be an experience for anyone, no matter what they're viewing. And I think that's the most important thing to remember. Whether you're gaming, whether you're watching the latest TV show, the latest movies, YouTube content, you name it, it will be a beautiful experience on this monitor. And again, as you said, 48 inches. I mean, bigger is better in my mind, to be honest.
And again, like I said in my introduction, Jordan, I just saw this monitor for the first time with my own eyes, and it is a stunner. I mean, it's unbelievable. And I think it's fair to say, and correct me if I'm wrong, a big and beautiful monitor doesn't necessarily mean a good gaming monitor, because it may not have those specs that we touched on, like the response time. But the other way around is true. If it can handle the latest games and the kinds of tournaments that you promote through TGS esports and all that, then it'll be just fine for, say, productivity, whether it's, work or school or what have you, right?
Yeah, I think the productivity point is important. Again, you want this to be a good experience, whether you're, on a Zoom call with, someone like Mark Saltzman, so to speak, or you're, having a gaming session with your friends late at night. I think the most important thing to touch on in that one is the OLED technology. It's a better viewing experience. It's better on your eyes. It doesn't wear you out as much, and it has a better, like you said, whiter whites, darker blacks, so to speak. I think that is the most important thing to touch on. And then again, the 4K Ultra HD resolution, that's just going to be a better viewing experience.
All right, so before we wrap up, just confirming it's LG.com, and you can do a search for UltraGear, and they can check prices and availability and all that. Thanks so much for chatting with us, Jordan. Jordan Anamale has been our guest from TGS Esports, the gaming stadium, and we've been learning all about the 48-inch LG UltraGear 4K OLED gaming monitor. Thanks again, Jordan. Be well.
Mark, thank you so much. We'll chat soon.
Hey, speaking of computer accessories, a shout out to Western Digital, the folks behind the SanDisk line of external storage and WD hard drives to back up all your important information. I use them all the time. In fact, I have software that automatically backs up my files every night. And I also trust the cloud as well, uploading files to store somewhere else. But I do like local and offline media. So be sure to check out all the sales that they have. There's memory cards, there's USB thumb drives, there's solid state, there's external hard drives. So lots of options there. westerndigital.com. When we return, we're going to chat with Linksys about fixing your Wi-Fi at home to get rid of those dead zones. Stick with us. We'll be right back with more Tech It Out.
Breaking down geek speak into street speak. Tech It Out, hosted by Mark Saltzman.
Welcome back to Tech It Out, powered by ASUS, for those in search of incredible. When it comes to connectivity in your home, it's one of the most important considerations, yet also one of the most overlooked. I'm referring to your Wi-Fi, your wireless network. And so to bring us up to speed on what's new and newsworthy, we're joined by Ali Reyes. She's head of consumer strategy at Linksys, one of the leaders in this space. Hi, Ali. Thanks for your time.
It's great to be here, but thanks for having me.
Let's first bring everyone up to speed, and maybe you can offer us a little Wi-Fi 101, if you will. What is wireless internet exactly, and why is it so important today?
Yeah, absolutely. It's been interesting to learn through different surveys just how important Wi-Fi has become in our everyday lives. Obviously, the pandemic put an acceleration to that element as well, but Wi-Fi is simply a radio wave that we use to communicate and transmit information. And that has obviously evolved into a lot of significance in the world that we, use today and how we communicate with each other and transmit information. But that's essentially what it is at its most basic.
Yeah, right. So you often need a router in the home, which takes your internet connection and makes it wireless. So you don't have to be tethered to that modem with the Ethernet plug or anything. So it lets you walk around your home or even be outside of your home if you're lucky enough to have like a front porch or a backyard deck, and you can get your work done on your laptop and stay connected over Wi-Fi. So would it be fair then to say, Ali, that people often upgrade their gear, like their smartphones and tablets and laptops, more often than they consider updating their router?
Absolutely. We always think about the device that's in our hands, right? We think about, changing what you're watching, what you're streaming. We think about the laptop or the tablet that you're using, and even more so maybe the phone in your hand. But we don't think about what that's connecting to, right? And how that can potentially influence the experience that you're having on that device. And so I will say, though, that the industry, we know that it's a little bit scary sometimes, frankly, right? To think about playing with your network. It can be intimidating, maybe depends on the last time you actually touched your network. And you kind of remember the pain that it used to be to network SSID, right? And even that terminology can scare people. Yeah. And so we're a little intimidated by it. But I will tell you that Linksys in particular, but I will say the industry has been innovative across the board, but Linksys as well, and maybe even I'm a little biased, but maybe more so. We've done an amazing job at taking a lot of that pain away from setting up a new Wi-Fi solution in your home, a new network for you. And so now it's, app driven. We have technology called mesh Wi-Fi as well, which will allow for you to put a couple different devices around your home. Sometimes we call them nodes, or router and satellite. And you can put a couple different ones around your home to make sure that you get Wi-Fi everywhere. And what's great about mesh Wi-Fi in particular is that it essentially works the way you think Wi-Fi should have always worked, but it created a big headache way back in the day. And now you just connect everywhere you go around your home or your property, and it has one name, one password, and you just move around seamlessly. And Linksys in particular would do a lot of the work for you now. We're very proud of the technology that we put behind it all, so that you as a user just get to use the Wi-Fi and not think about it. But that really comes from that mesh technology.
Awesome. I'm going to talk to you more about mesh in a moment, how it eliminates those dead zones that we used to struggle with. But you brought up two really important points about why people may not be upgrading their router as often. One is out of sight, out of mind. We often don't have the router front and center in our home where we're staring at it every day. It's connected to power, which implies it's near a wall. And you don't think of upgrading that as often as you do upgrading your smart TV or your smartphone or what have you. The second thing is that many of us are not tech savvy, and it can be overwhelming and intimidating to consider upgrading your router, because you often associate the pains, the trials and tribulations of doing it in the first place. But thanks to companies like Linksys, that you are making it easier for the average person now, which is great. Using things like apps, walking through the person on how to do that. That's great. So I was going to ask you about the latest in Wi-Fi trends. You anticipated my next question. Let's talk a bit more about mesh. And then I wanted to ask you about Wi-Fi 6 or 6E, which I've been seeing a lot more of these days. So a mesh system essentially are these little pucks or hubs that you place around the home. They all make a wireless handshake, and that lets you have reliable internet anywhere in the home instead of having to be close to the router. That's kind of the idea, right? It's ideal for larger homes.
It's ideal, I would say, for anybody who needs just a little bit more, right? So, and I include just a little bit more of your property. I think towards the beginning you mentioned as well that people might be in their backyards, especially, throughout the pandemic. We've seen a lot more, having movie nights in the back where you have a projector screen, or just trying to get together outside a little bit more. Mm-hmm. And so with that, you need just a little bit more range. And I will step back for a moment and say that previously, prior to mesh, we used range extenders, and range extenders are a very intuitive term, right? I want to extend the range of my network. Well, the reality was it actually made your network more complicated. You'd move around and you'd have to switch between a band. And so maybe some of you have seen the 2.4 or the 5 gigahertz.
Or the name of your wireless network, -EXT. You had to join a different SSID name, right?
Exactly. And that was a pain, and you're constantly having to navigate that. Mesh Wi-Fi really took Wi-Fi and extended it across your property. And again, I like to use property instead of just house, because we're living in this type of world. And with that, you just have, again, one name and one password. And behind the scenes, companies like Linksys are doing the navigating of the bands for you. So we know which device you're closest to, a hub, a node, whatever you want to call it. We know which one you're closest to. Linksys knows when you're streaming something in 4K. And we also know when you're just simply sending an email. And with that, we will guide your device for you between the bands. So you don't have to worry about what band does what and where it's at, or do you need to be on the extender, or do you need to be on the 5 gigahertz? We'll do that navigating for you behind the scenes. So you just, again, get to use the Wi-Fi and enjoy the experiences that you're having.
Awesome. We're going to continue chatting with Ali Reyes from Linksys about strengthening your home Wi-Fi when we return on Tech It Out. I'm your host, Mark Saltzman. Hope you're having a great day so far. Stick with us. We'll be right back.
Follow Mark Saltzman on Facebook, on Twitter, on Instagram. Listen to Tech It Out whenever you want.
We are chatting with Ali Reyes. She's head of consumer strategy at Linksys, one of the leaders in the home networking space. Let's now chat about Wi-Fi 6 or 6E.
Yeah, absolutely. So I'm going to take a step back for just a moment as well, because most people know varying degrees of what type of Wi-Fi is out there for you. A lot of people actually still remember the 802.11ac, mostly because we probably typed that in at one point while we were creating a network previously. We've done some evolutions since then. We talked about AC and AX Wi-Fi, and then we really took a step back as a as an industry and thought, how do we really simplify this? So we went Wi-Fi 5, Wi-Fi 6, and now Wi-Fi 6E. Wi-Fi 6 is also known as AX. And with that, it actually allows for you to really optimize how you're using your network. So previously, when a device was trying to talk to a band, or we could just say when a device is trying to talk to the network, it would have to actually stand in line behind all of the devices that needed to talk to the network, because only one device could talk to one band at a time. With Wi-Fi 6, what we're enabling is actually maybe that device only needs 10 megabits and another device needs 50. Well, now you can use 10 and you can use 50, and then maybe that whole band was 100 megabits. So you get to use little pieces of it instead of waiting in line for the device in front of you, which may be slower or faster, may not need as much bandwidth. And so with that, we're able to really optimize how we use the network instead of just making it bigger and bigger and bigger. We're able to optimize how we do that.
Yeah, so maybe an analogy would be a freeway where there's fast lanes and slow lanes. So Wi-Fi 6E adds more lanes to the super information highway, but also a fast lane on the left or something like that. So you can prioritize your traffic.
Yeah, absolutely.
And why Linksys? I know obviously you said earlier you're biased, you work for the company. What separates Linksys from all the other network providers? And what solutions would you recommend for the average listener?
So Linksys is a 30-plus-year-old company. We have always prided ourselves on being innovative and reliable in the network space for your home and your businesses. With that, we recognize just how different the activities that we're doing on the network have evolved over time. So there's a lot of knowledge there. There's a lot of experiences. And one of the things that we've really been focused on as a company and as a brand and being in your homes is, frankly, the security of your network and also the privacy of your data. We're all starting to think about it more and more. We're all starting to see the news around the challenges and, frankly, all of the threats that can happen to your network and to the technology that you're using. And with that in mind, we made a strategic partnership with a company called Fortinet. Fortinet is a leading cybersecurity company in the enterprise space, so really focused on that business grade. And we've been working with them on building products that take enterprise level security for your network and bringing it into your home. And that's important because as we look at where the technology trends are going, right? There's a lot of fun things that we talk about, like autonomous vehicles and, what could be out there on your next phone that you want to purchase. But also we're looking at what does that expose, right? How are we even more reliant on the technology? And then how do we protect it? And as we're looking at those trends, we take a lot of what's happening in the enterprise space and we start to think about how do we bring that down to your home, right? Because we know that those threats will also make its way into your home individually. So we're very excited about that. We're very proud of that. And it's something that has been forefront for us in how we build our products.
All right. Are there any new solutions, be it like a single router or a mesh system that you would like to plug before we wrap up?
Absolutely. Linksys Atlas Max 6E is available in a 3-pack. Again, it's a mesh system at $999. And then also, if you just want to start with a single router, you can add on later these nodes so that you can create a mesh system. You can start with the Hydra Pro 6E at $349.
And if I may, I'll end off with a couple of other thought starters for improving your Wi-Fi. I often say to try to put your router in a central part of the home, not on one side, so you're optimizing the range. I always say to elevate it. Don't put it on the floor, but have it on a table or desk or on a bookshelf. Don't put it in the basement if you have one. Try to put it in the main floor because it works better that way.
I think you covered probably the main ones if you're talking about a single device. But really what we've seen is that most headaches with connectivity and buffering are solved by simply investing in a mesh system.
Hey, Ali, thank you so much for chatting with us.
Thank you.
If you want a deal on a Linksys router, be sure to check out slickdeals.net. They are a partner of mine on this program. I use the app religiously and the browser extension as well. Slickdeals.net for deals on all your tech. Not only will they tell you what retailers have the best deals, but there's also a cashback rewards program. So if you start at Slick Deals and then go buy something online, you're going to get a percentage of that back. Actually, I doubled it because I have a Visa dividend card that gives me cash back at the end of the year on my purchases. Hey, thank you for tuning in to Tech It Out, everyone. Hope you enjoyed the show. Hit me up on social media to say hi. Have a great week ahead, and I look forward to catching up with you next weekend for another episode of Tech It Out. Bye-bye for now.